Hi boys and girls, this is Mrs. Squires here. I have prepared this video for you as a study guide for your test on Friday, October 7th. So I hope it helps you a little bit be prepared for the test. First, we'll start with these three questions here. What is a polygon? And we know a polygon is any closed shape with straight sides. So if I go over to my shapes here and you go up and down, you can see that most of these are closed shapes with straight sides. So I'm just going to pull up a few: a rectangle, a square, and a triangle. Now, on the test, if it says what is not a polygon, look for some sort of shape that might look like this, that does not have straight sides and it is not closed. That would be an open shape, so that's not a polygon. Now we go down to which polygon has three sides. So looking at my shapes here or looking at my shape bar over here, we can see that three sides is a triangle. And we learned that we learned that tri means three, so that's why we know that a triangle is a three-sided polygon. So that's the answer to that. Now the next question, which polygon has four equal sides or congruent sides or sides that have equal length and four equal angles? So up here I have my rectangle that we could pull down and my square. And we can look at them and say, does a rectangle have four equal sides? Well, if you look at the top line and the one on the side, they are not the same length, they are not congruent. So we know that a rectangle is not a polygon with four equal sides and four equal angles. So next we have our square. Does it have four equal sides? Yes. And four equal angles? Well, if you look in here, yes, they have one square angle here, the second right angle here, the third right angle, and the fourth right angle, which measures 90 degrees. So the answer would be a square. Now when we come down here, what is a quadrilateral? We know that a quadrilateral is a polygon with four sides and four angles, and there's many different quadrilaterals. So when I go over to my shapes and I go up and down, I know that I have a four-sided shape with a rectangle, with a square. But as I go to oval, circle, a triangle has three. Then we come to a rhombus or a parallelogram or a diamond. Now, when I ask what is not a quadrilateral, you could pull up a triangle or you could pull up a pentagon, which if you see has five sides. So when I ask you what is a quadrilateral, think of any shape that has four sides. Now, a parallelogram. We can pull down the rectangle, the square, and my rhombus here. A parallelogram has two sets of parallel sides. So if we look at this bottom and this top side, those are parallel, will go on forever, never intersect. And then also the two sides of this rectangle. So that makes it a parallelogram. And the same with the square and the rhombus here. This side and this opposite side are parallel. Then this side and this side are parallel. So they'll go on forever. So that makes a parallelogram. So when I say what is not a parallelogram, let's go over to our shapes. And you know that a circle, oval, things like that are not parallelograms. But the most common one that we know is called a trapezoid. And if you look at this shape here, trapezoid, pause for a minute and say to yourself, why is that not a parallelogram? And you can stop the video if you want to talk to your parents about it or just yourself. But what why is a trapezoid not a parallelogram is because it only has one set of parallel lines. The top and the bottom are parallel. But when you come to this edge here, goes on forever, and this side goes on forever, and they'll intersect right here. So it has one set of intersecting lines. So that's why a trapezoid is not a parallelogram. Then we go, what is a trapezoid? Well, we know this is a trapezoid. It's a quadrilateral. It is not a parallelogram because it has one set of parallel lines. What is a rectangle? Well, we have a rectangle right here. And you notice it has opposite sides that are parallel. It has 4 straight sides. It has the angles in here, 90 degrees. They are right angles. And that makes it a rectangle. Now, when we go up to a square question, and we'll come up again later, is a square a rectangle? Well, if it has the same attributes, it is. Does it have 4 sides? Yes. Does it have 4 right angles? Yes. So, in our opposite sides parallel? Yes. So, a square is also a rectangle. So, our last question here is a rhombus. And I'm going to pull this rhombus down here. Then I can also go over and grab another rhombus that I have in my shapes right here. And I'm going to make it a different color to help you see it right here. So let's look at this rhombus. They're very similar. These are both rhombuses, and they are both quadrilaterals because they have 4 sides. They are both parallelograms because opposite sides are equal. And a rhombus has 4 congruent sides. So if you look, all the sides are equal length. And that's why I can pull this square down. Whoops, I'm sorry. Let me go back here and delete that. And then pull the square down. Because if you think a rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides, well, a square is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. So what is a rhombus? You have this one is a rhombus, parallelogram, and the square can also be a rhombus. Great. So I hope you're getting all this, and I'm not going too fast, but remember, you can always stop the video, think about what I'm saying, and practice on different shapes. So let's go to the next page. Our first question is, how do you describe shapes using attributes? Well, we have learned many different words to describe attributes. And I always like to start with the first one. Is it a polygon? Is it a closed shape? Yes or no? You can describe it like that. Does it have parallel lines? You could describe an attribute like that. Parallel lines like on a square. You could say the name of it. Is it a square? Is it a rectangle? Is it a triangle? You could actually count the angles. How many angles does it have? Does it have right angles, which are made from perpendicular lines? These 2 lines that come together are perpendicular, and they measure 90 degrees. Count the sides. How many sides does each shape have? Count the corners. Remember, the angles are inside and the corners are on the outside here. Then you could say to yourself, is it a quadrilateral? Does it have 4 quadrilateral? Does it have 4 sides? Is it a parallelogram? Or does it have 2 sets of parallel opposite sides that are parallel? So there are many different ways to describe a shape. These are just a few of them. Okay, so now I'm going to move these vocabulary words aside here. And my next question, draw 2 shapes and tell me how they are same or different. Now I'm just going to pick the square and the rectangle because they are up here. Now, you may pause the video, come up with any two shapes because you never know what shape is going to be actually on the test on Friday. So what is the same about these two shapes? Well, one is called a square. The other one is called a rectangle. So that's different. Now, one has equal sides. So you can say a square has 4 equal sides. A rectangle does not. So that's two ways they are different. How they are the same, there are many different ways. Are they both polygons? Yes. Are they both quadrilaterals? Yes. Are they both parallelograms? Parallelograms. I know I'm getting all my words all mixed up here. Parallelograms. So there are many reasons why these are the same. So you might want to choose a triangle and a square, or a rhombus and a rectangle. Try different shapes. So lastly we have, I'll go over here and make some room, get rid of these. Lastly we have a question. Is a square a rectangle? Well, we talked about it already. Is a square a rectangle? A square is a rectangle because it has all the same attributes. A rectangle is not a square because it does not have 4 congruent sides, 4 equal sides. So that's really the big difference between a square and a rectangle. So stop the video, think about what I said, review your journal, review all the papers, the activities we've done in class in your homework helper, and I think you do a great job on this test on Friday. So good luck. Thanks.